Okay, you heard Frank Warren there discussing the fight which is going to take place on July the 14th. A lot of people calling it unlicensed, a lot of people calling it illegal. It's not unlicensed. It's not illegal. And Derek Chisora, as Frank Warren pointed out there, has never been banned. He was suspended, had his licence taken away. Now, Frank Warren seems to be taking on the board here. He feels that he's having his hand pushed. He's having to take on the ball. But for the last 30 or so years, there have been a group of men in this country that have been taking on the ball. They've been putting on shows, different shows that operate outside of the British Boxing Board of Control's rules and regulations. These are often called unlicensed boxing nights, pirate boxing, that type of stuff. Sometimes white collar, they're given a grand name. Now, these have been going on for an awful long time, and one of the masters of this business was a man called Joe Pyle. Now, Joe Senior is sadly no longer with us, but his son, young Joe Pyle, is still with us, and he still puts on these shows. And so I thought, just to add a little bit of a twist to it, I'd speak to young Joe this evening for his take on what's happening or what the plan is for Upton Park. Good evening, Joe.
Hello, Steve. You all right, mate?
I'm absolutely fantastic. Joe, have you ever tried to get a British Boxing Board of Control licence and put on a show underneath or inside their rules and regulations?
Well, I was a licensed promoter.
Okay.
I was, apart from Frank, I was the youngest ever British Boxing Board of Control promoter.
Okay.
I got my licence in 29 years of age back in 1998. And I ran pro shows up until 2004, when basically the red tape and the way we was being treated, we broke away.
And formed your own association or federation?
Yeah, you know, the company what we work with at the moment, the World Sport Organisation, that was also with the board as well. That was also a licence holder.
Okay.
But now we're a UK-based professional boxing commission based in the UK.
And you have regulations in place. It's, you know, the unlicensed, quotes, unlicensed boxing now isn't like the stuff that used to take place a long, long time ago, is it? It's a different sport now.
Yes, Steve, the unlicensed, when people say unlicensed, you know, you're talking about the Lenny McLeans, the Roy Shaws, 30-odd years ago.
Yeah.
You know, crazy days. You know, if things happen then. I'll be honest with you now, the way we run shows at this moment is probably more professional than what I was running shows when I was with the board.
Wow.
back in 2001, 2002. You know yourself, you've actually had people on your show as well, what are working outside of the board regulations.
Yeah, I often had them on.
And you know, but you know, people are putting on, you know, shows, and it just goes to show that you don't have to be affiliated to the British Boxing Board of Control to run a boxing show in the UK.
So Joe, were you surprised when you heard about this Luxembourg Boxing Federation with a guy called Bruce Baker, who used to be part of a group that you were involved with? Were you surprised that it had come about, or did you just expect it at some point to happen?
I could see the writing on the wall.
Cool.
To be honest, with such high-profile players, to decide they was going to be doing their own thing, it did surprise me. But then again, you know, the way the board have handled this Chisora situation is terrible, Steve.
Well, you may have heard Frank Warren talking there. Honestly, he was saying, and I asked him point blank in very straight language, had Chisora been banned, would this fight be taking place? And he replied, no. So that, you know, if Chisora's the worst man and he's this and he's unfit to do this, he's unfit to do this, why the hell didn't they just damn well ban him? Instead of giving him this out and then telling him he could, in their statement after the hearing back in March, they told Chisora he could apply for a licence in another jurisdiction. They told him.
It's mad. I'll tell you what happened with it. They got mixed up, got involved in all the hysteria, in all the stuff that was coming out in the papers, and what they should have done, Steve. This is one of the main reasons why I left the board. And it is because, remember, you're a licence holder. You're actually paying fees.
Of course.
Now, Chisora must have paid a lot of money out of his purse to the board, right? And over the years...
His last three big fights, yeah.
Yeah, and so you're a member of the board. They should be defending you. They should be sticking up for you, not judge and execute. Okay, I'm not condoning what he's done out there, but this could have been dealt with in such an easy... what they should have done is asked him to come into the office 2 or 3 days after the event, said to him, listen, together, let's make a public apology, and I'll tell you what as a bonus, on your next fight, let's donate 10% to charity or something like that.
Joe, you know what, mate? I don't know if you read The Independent, but I wrote that about 2 weeks after the fight. This should have all been handled over a nice Italian meal down in Cardiff. They could have sorted the whole thing out. Everybody would stay the same. You know, he would have got the slap on the wrist he got for a night of for the scuffle, which, by the way, would never have happened if half a dozen security guards had been there. Listen, Joe, just briefly, have you got a show coming up soon? Anything coming up?
Yeah, we've just done a series thing. We're doing at the moment. We've got another show coming up on the. We've got one coming up on the 26th of this month in Felbridge. And we've got another big show coming up in Tolworth, World Sports Organisation show coming up in Tolworth. But we're promoting near enough every month at the moment, you know. So things are going well.
Listen,
we're enjoying ourselves, Steve.
Listen, you can't ask more than that. Listen, Joe, we'll have to meet up soon, have a drink. Joe Pyle there, thank you very much for finding time to speak to me tonight. Joe Pyle there, who operates without a British Boxing Border Control licence, but puts on shows on a regular basis. So it's not absolutely unheard of. Now, there's only one